Hello everybody, welcome. We are doing VR tutorials with Unity and Android, and in this video we are learning how to drop a ball in VR using nothing but your eyes. In the last few videos we have been learning how to pick up a ball, and when we do so we can move it around, and it is basically just parented to our main camera, and that allows it to move around. Okay, so we're going to cut to the chase. We're going to just go ahead and jump in. And if you've been doing tutorials with us for a while, you should be able to take just this next little bit here and figure this out on your own. However, I encourage you to stick around and watch the rest. Okay. So what we're doing is we are creating a new script called droppin', which is kind of like our holding script right here, but it's just going to do one thing. Just like we have one line of code here, we're going to do the same thing over here. So let's start out with a public rigid body the ball again. Okay, and we will get rid of our update function because we do not need it, and we will say the ball again dot transform dot parent equals null, and save. Okay, that is essentially, how it's gonna stop it from being in one place to the next. But we have no place to actually drop it. So what we're gonna do is create some objects. We're gonna create two game objects. And we are going to create an empty cube. Alright, the cube is going to be the pedestal because we need some sort of visual representation to know where our drop-off point is. And then we're going to need a place to actually put it. So we're going to call this the place to be, because it is. And our last thing here is an empty game object. It's going to be just like the holding script butler. It's going to be the dropping script butler. So dropping script butler. And just like the holding script butler, it begins its life unchecked. So let's drop the drop-in on the drop-in script butler and uncheck it. Boom. Okay, so this is a good start so far. Let me go ahead and pull this down. Now, in order to make this work, we are going to have to put this somewhere where we can reach it. So what I want to do briefly is come in here and zero out all of these transforms on the place to be and also on the pedestal. Okay. Now the pedestal itself doesn't need to be very big. It's just an indicator, a little visual indicator to let us know where we're going to be dropping our object. So what I'm going to do is pull it down on the Z. Alright, so it becomes a nice little flat tile, I guess you could say. Now the place to be is right in the middle of this, and we don't want it in the middle, we kind of want it a little bit further out here. But we want to be able to place it properly, so what we're going to do is come over here and add a box collider. Now, we're not going to keep the box collider, otherwise it'll prevent other things from working properly. But we can use the box collider to use that little green box right here to place this where we need it to be. And that is perfect. Okay, so we are going to then delete this box collider. Alright, and we're going to grab the place to be and the pedestal. I'm going to grab both of these right here. And then we're going to move them someplace more convenient, more ergonomically interesting. Like right here. Right here is good. Okay, so in time we're going to do like a bunch of nodes, but for right now we're just going to learn how to drop it in one place, and I'll show you why that's useful, even regardless of whether or not you have nodes. Okay, so the place to be, that's good. It is basically just like our hand, which right now is the GVR reticle pointer. The GVR reticle pointer does just what it does, doesn't really have anything else attached to it. And so neither should the place to be. The place to be is simply a location. The pedestal is what's going to be important here. That box collider is going to be what allows us to see this area. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do now is take our radial gaze timer, boom, and drop it over here. Now, the radial progress, of course, is an image, and that image, of course, is inside of our canvas and contains this image, boom. And when we run the timer, it literally is just choosing a fill amount of that image, illustrated like this. Okay, so we leave it alone, it's just fine. Let's go back to our pedestal. The radial gaze timer does not need to be active when it starts, otherwise it's just going to start running off on its own, and we don't want it to do that. Now the stuff to do here, the stuff to do is basically the drop-in script butler. Okay, if we look inside of our radial gaze timer script, we see that as soon as the timer gets to where it needs to go, it calls a subroutine. This subroutine, in turn, basically turns on a public game object, which we called up here. Public game object, the stuff to do, and the stuff to do has basically just been filled with the drop-in script butler, okay? And when the drop-in script butler becomes activated, it's going to run the dropping script. Okay, so the ball again, very good thing we looked over here. Okay, so the ball again, we're going to take Pepito, drag him into the ball, because that's where he belongs. And let's see, the pedestal, what else are we missing? Oh yes, we are missing the event trigger. So go ahead and add EVE event trigger. Okay. We're going to need two different types of events, a pointer enter and a pointer exit. So the reason for this is basically when we drag our pointer over this, we want to access this radial gaze timer. The radial gaze timer, of course, is attached to the pedestal, so we will click here, choose the pedestal. Okay, now the pedestal has been chosen. And we're going to go to no function, choose the radial gaze timer, which we've got right here. And then we are going to Boolean or bool enabled, okay, and check that. So what it's going to do is it's going to start this timer, all right, that's good. And then if we look away from it, we want the timer to reset itself. So we will go the pedestal, radial gaze timer, resetinator. And all resetinator does is reset the radial gaze timer back down to 0. And one last thing, we also need to access, or we need to make sure that we turn off the radial gaze timer when we do look away. First we reset it, but then we actually shut it off. And so we chose the same thing as up here, bool enabled, but we left this unchecked, so it does not need to be checked. Okay, so we basically, I think we've got everything that we need for right now, and you're going to see why we are going to need a couple small changes. Okay, so let's give this a shot and see what we got. So we can pick up that ball, and we're going to drive it over here, and oh no, nothing's happening. Now, the reason for that is because our ball is blocking the other box collider from being able to be selected. So what we need to do is we need to properly hold the ball, okay? And that is not too hard to do, so we're going to create another empty, and we're going to call this my hands, okay? And we're going to, of course, zero out the transforms, as always, and move this up to the main camera. But before we do that, we're going to check it out in side view. So hit whatever gets you to your side, and we're going to drag it all the way over here. And we want to drag it right up next to our camera, because we want to get the impression that when we pick it up from here, we are now holding it in our body or hand or whatever that's over here. Okay, so that's good. Come over to the to your stuff over here and check. Now, the stuff to do for my hands, oh yes, I forgot. My hands needs to go up here to main camera. So when the main camera becomes active, my hands will move around, and we need to test that. However, what would happen right now is that it would probably stay right where it's at. We need to change my hand in the holding script. Okay, so now instead of the GVR reticle pointer holding it, we are using my hands to hold it. So my hands, my hand, pretty self-explanatory there. Okay, go ahead and save, and let's try this out. Okay. Okay, well, that was very close to working, right? Okay, so the reason this isn't working now is not because we didn't do the wrong thing. We did the right thing. Everything is good here. But we need to goose it with a little bit of code. So, Holden, go back to your holding, and we are going to type in the ball dot transform dot local position equals my hand dot transform dot local position. Okay, save that, come back, hit play, and boom, there we go. Now we have the ball right up in our face, right so we can see it. That's good. It feels like we're actually holding the ball. If you want to make little hands that you would, use here, you would basically just place them in my hands. So, I mean, yeah, we could do that. Let's try that. My hands, create a 3D object, a cube, and we will shrink it down a little bit. Here, we'll do this. 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Okay, and then we will kind of, oops. Okay, move it over to the side. Perfect. So that's my little Minecraft hand. We're going to hit play. And we're going to grab the ball. And boom, now we have a little Minecraft hand holding our ball. Excellent. Okay, so now let's check to see what we've got over here. Boom. Okay, so right here we see that the null worked for dropping. Okay, so the ball transform parent became null. All right, that's a good thing. We want it to be null. However, it doesn't really feel like we dropped it over there. Even though we kind of did, what we need to do now is add another line of code. Okay, so like we did for Holden, okay, we need to add this transform local position. But we need to start by adding another transform. So public transform, transform, okay, and we're going to call it your new home. Yes, because it needs a new home. All right, the ball again dot transform dot local, come on, local p position equals your new home dot transform dot local position, and save. Okay, so now we are basically snapping it to a place where it could be handy. So before we do that, you're probably wondering, why are we nullifying the parent and then just changing the position? Why aren't we actually parenting the ball to the new location like we do here? So right here we have the ball being parented So why aren't we doing it over here? Well, I'll show you why. It's because it will not allow the ball to land in the right spot. So transform, sorry, dot parent equals your new home dot transform semicolon save. And before we, actually jump into that, we want to test to make sure that everything's working properly to begin with. All right, so if we just run this right now, it's not going to work because we do not have a specification of your new home. So the new home is going to be the place to be. That's why we created this. You're like, why did we create this empty thing? Well, the reason why is because we want the place to be the place where we want the ball to be. Okay, so hit play. Grab your ball, and it's in your little Minecraft hand, and boom. You see that? And now we have a ball basically stuck to a node, if you will. We say it's stuck to a pedestal, but it's a node, I guess you can call it. But anyhow, that's that. That's how you drop a ball, or where you place a ball. So let's push it one more step further, okay? First of all, let's show why we got rid of that. Save. Go back. All right, let's test this. Grab the ball, hold it in my Minecraft hand, and boom. See? Moved it all the way out there. You're like, what the heck is going on here? Yeah, we didn't need to parent it. The parenting causes all sorts of weird stuff to happen. So go ahead and comment that out or erase it, whichever makes you feel better. And add one more line. Yay! The ball again dot use gravity equals true, and save. Play. Grab the ball, held in my Minecraft hand, looking over here, and yes. Yes. So if you wanted to create some sort of drop the ball game, like what is it, Plinko, where the balls kind of bounce back or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, let's do something fun before we quit. I mean, that's basically the tutorial. You know how to drop the ball in creative methods. But let's go. Let's keep going. Let's add a cube. Zero out all of its transforms. We are going to squash it down a little. There we go. We are going to scale it out pretty far, pretty wide. Okay, take a look over here and rotate. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the top to see if I've got myself colliding. Sometimes I notice if two objects collide, when there's collisions happening, there can be some untoward, not very good results. All right, so bring this down just a little bit. There we go. Now, if we just drop this right away, it'll drop right through, so we obviously need to add a rigid body. So RIG. And we are not going to use gravity, otherwise that would fall. And if we do not freeze the constraints here, this will just kind of float around here. I'll show you. So, yeah. There we go. All right, so let's go in here and freeze these. Grab the ball in my Minecraft hand, and then dropping it, and and it falls. Awesome. Okay, that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out all the things for this tutorial. In my next video, I'm gonna make a node system so that you can make multiple nodes and then pick them up and put them down and pick them up and put them down and pick them up and put them down anywhere you want. And so that did take me a little while to figure out how to do all that. But it was well worth it because I feel like it gave me a lot more information to put into this particular episode. I was just going to show you some very small things, but I feel like I've learned a little bit more and made this video a lot more interesting along the way. So again, thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for that node video. I am really looking forward to putting it all together and seeing what we can do with it. So if you guys do anything with this, let me know because I want to make some sort of like ball drop game where you got to make sure that you put it in the right spot and it drops and then it's supposed to land in the right place and whatever. And I feel like we might just have most of that functionality available. We've done a lot of cool stuff, and so if you followed everything, um, we're pretty close to having, prototype stuff done. So thank you again. I want to thank everybody who's been watching from all around the world. You guys are awesome. Keep those comments and suggestions coming. And I do try to answer as many questions as possible. I'm not a C-sharp guru, so I can't really say that I'm here to show off, my awesome coding skills, which I do not have. Um, but more to, help you guys out because every time one of us makes one of these kinds of videos, even if it's not the most, comprehensive little, dump of information, it is still a torch inside of the dungeon to help others to see by, So yeah, every little bit helps, guys. Every last little bit. So thank you, and I will see you guys on the very next episode. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you then. Bye. Doo, 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 doo.